Chapter 1. The Dream. Library. You've been burning every night. The softest sound you might miss tonight is not the sigh of wind through an old window, nor the hum of the night beyond your curtains. It is the almost imperceptible crackle of pages turning to ash, not in your fireplace, not in some forgotten hearth of a house you no longer live in, but somewhere deeper, somewhere behind your closed eyelids. We treat sleep like a blank void, a mechanical switch. Off. A pause in the film of our waking life before we press play again at dawn. But what if we are wrong? What if each hurried morning, each impatient scramble toward light and caffeine isn't a beginning, but the end of something? What if the moment you wake is the moment you strike the match, and somewhere inside, a quiet and endless library begins to burn? Picture it, its shelves stretching upward into impossible darkness, built not from wood or stone, but from memory itself. Each volume bound not in leather, but in something softer, more luminous, starlight woven into the grain of lived experience. The spines shimmer faintly in the darkness, not titles in gold, but pulses of memory, a sound, a scent, a half-remembered smile. This library does not belong to the world. It belongs to you. It is you. Every sigh you've breathed in the quiet between heartbeats, every face you once knew but could not name again if asked, every flicker of joy or tremor of fear that ever passed through your body, archived with meticulous, tender precision. Not by angels, not by ghosts, but by the quiet, tireless scribe of your own consciousness. This scribe works only when the blinding lights of waking life fade, when the stage clears, when the audience of your thoughts finally leaves the theater. That is when the work begins. And here is the forbidden truth, forbidden not by kings or priests, but by your own distracted mind. Sleep is not emptiness. It is the sacred reading hour of your soul. Yet how often do we rush past it? How often do we fill those hallowed halls with noise, the restless mutterings of worry, the neon glare of unfinished plans, the unquiet hunger for tomorrow? And so the shelves smolder, the pages curl, not in some grand cinematic blaze, but in the slow erosion of neglect. Wisdom you will never read again drifts upward in weightless strands of smoke. Gone. What truths have you already let fade? Which chapter, waiting patiently on a high, shadowed shelf, held the answer to a question you didn't even know you were asking? Why do you flinch at certain footsteps? Why do certain melodies pull at the threads of your chest until you feel like unraveling? Why does the turning of autumn leaves bring a longing so deep you can't name it? Tonight you do not have to burn anything. Tonight you may let the library doors sigh open. This is not surrender. This is not defeat. This is stepping into the archive of your own becoming. The air inside is cool, silent, and impossibly still. Not the scent of smoke here, but the faint perfume of ancient paper, ink faded by time, and something else. Possibility. The shelves go on forever. The titles call to you without sound. Perhaps you find yourself drawn to one bound in silver and shadow. Its spine reads, "The day you felt truly understood." Another glimmers faintly with a softer light. "Why sparrows sing outside your window at dawn." And there, tucked in the corner, a book whose weight you feel before you even touch it. The map back to your quietest joy. Reach for it, not with your hands, but with the gentlest attention. The cover opens, not with effort, but with the sigh of a memory you thought you had lost forever. The words are not ink. They are sensation, warmth spreading in your chest like sunlight, slipping past closed curtains. The rough, soft feeling of your grandmother's hands around yours. A single tear, not sadness, but the sudden, sharp relief of recognition. Oh, yes, that was me. That is me. The forbidden reading begins. And as you read, the tyrant of your waking mind, the one who fears stillness, who clings to noise, finally lays down its arms. It sleeps too. Now, there is only you and the library, and the slow turning of pages no fire can touch. Each page is a breath, each chapter a lifetime remembered. And when the last page of the book closes, it is not over. A silence remains, but it is not empty. It is a shore, a vast moonlit shore where the ocean of everything you do not yet know laps gently at the sand of your awareness. It whispers to you without urgency, inviting you not to read, but to wade deeper, into the water, into the knowing, into yourself. Chapter 2. Why Your Ancestors Feared the Second Moonrise. Imagine for a moment a world without the thin, mechanical hum of wires and screens. A world where the only light after sunset came from the trembling dance of fire or the steady cold glow of the stars. A world where darkness was not something to banish, but something to enter, carefully, reverently. In that world, the night had a rhythm, a slow, ancient heartbeat you could feel in your bones if you were quiet enough. And somewhere in that rhythm, there came a second moonrise. Not a moon in the sky, silvering the mountains or bending its light over the ocean, but a moon that rose inside you, deep in the body, deep in the mind. Ancient voices carried on winds that crossed deserts, rolled through forests, swept over frozen tundra. They spoke of this second moon not with casual curiosity, but with a reverence tinged with awe, and a thread of something older than reason, something like primal fear. Their calendars and counting systems could chart the real moon, the tides, the seasons. But this moon, this one they navigated by instinct, by dream, by the tides within the soul itself. It was not celestial, it was internal. And the forbidden truth, the one we've paved over with neon lights and restless thought, is that this second moon was a shift, a profound biological turning point that happened midway through the night. At first came the softer tide, the drifting down into ordinary dreams, the gentle release of muscle and thought. But then, somewhere in the depths of darkness, the tide turned. The body became utterly still. The breath became so faint it could be mistaken for silence, and the mind did not sleep. It expanded. It became vast, oceanic, ancient. Under that second moon, consciousness was not gone. It was transformed. In this liminal tide, the shamans left their bodies in vision. The elders spoke to the land as if it were listening, and it was. Ordinary souls brushed against the edges of something timeless. In the pull of that hidden moon, the petty fears of the day dissolved like salt in water. And yet they feared it, not because it was evil, but because it was power. Untamed, unmeasured, inhuman power. To wander unprepared under its light, still tangled in bitterness or fear, was to risk being torn from your bearings, cast adrift in an ocean too deep to fathom. So they prepared. Before sleeping, they let go. They sang to release the weight of the day. They breathed slowly to quiet the mind's noise. They whispered gratitude into the darkness, not out of superstition, but out of respect. For they knew this was not a phase of sleep to stumble into blindly. It was a gate, and gates can open into gardens or abysses. They knew the cost of missing this tide, to resist its pull, to fill the hours with distraction or worry, was to be stranded in the shallows of consciousness, to live a life only on the surface, to lose the deep wisdom, the cellular healing, the quiet knowing that comes only from drifting under the second moon's light. Those who missed it aged faster. Their intuition dimmed. Their spirits grew brittle. The fear was not of the moon. It was of the exile from it. Now we scoff. We medicate our way past it. We scroll through it, fill it with noise, mistake stillness for emptiness. But the second moon still rises. It will rise tonight, as it always has, as it always will. You may feel it if you are still enough, that subtle internal turn, when the easy dreams fall away and a deeper current begins to pull. Don't fear it. Don't fight it. That is the exile the ancients dreaded. Instead, surrender. Let your thoughts wash ashore and drift away. Let your plans dissolve like sandcastles at high tide. Feel the vastness below you, cool, endless, holding you in its quiet embrace. You are not drowning. You are floating in the primordial sea of your own consciousness. Under this moon, there are no problems to solve, no lists to keep. There is only existence, pure and unbound, to be felt. This peace cannot be discovered because it was never lost. It is remembered. And so, under the second moon, as it rises in the depths of your night, remember what your ancestors once knew, that you are older than your body, deeper than your thoughts, and that in this tide, you are infinite. Chapter 3. The Insomniac's Secret. You're not broken, you're listening. That familiar frustration, the clock's unwavering glow painting the room in pale, mocking light. Each minute sliding past with the heavy scrape of stone against stone, piling up inside your chest. Society has a script for this. They whisper, sometimes shout, broken, fix it, silence it. They prescribe the usual arsenal, pills to dim the mind, routines to train the body, stern advice meant to scold you back into compliance. But beneath all that noise, something quieter lives, a forbidden truth, a whisper beneath the roar of your own tired thoughts. What if your wakefulness isn't a malfunction, but a profound, terrifying act of listening? Think of your consciousness not as a single light switch, flicked on by day and off by night, but as an ancient, intricate dwelling. Most nights, the weary inhabitant, the hurried, bustling you of the day, stumbles gratefully toward the quietest room, closes the door, turns the lock. Sleep comes like darkness flooding the hallways, sealing each chamber in stillness. But some nights are different. Some nights a sound stirs deep within the house. Not the ordinary groan of wood and nail, not the small noises you can explain away, but something stranger, a sigh drifting up from a locked cellar you forgot existed, or the faintest melody leaking from a sealed attic door, so distant you can't tell if it's real or imagined. The insomniac is not the one who cannot sleep. The insomniac is the one who hears. The restless part of you pacing the halls in the dark is not your enemy. It is the sentry, the guardian, standing its lonely vigil before the thresholds you've kept shut for years. It hears things you've stopped hearing. The cellar holds more than dust and shadow. It holds grief you never allowed yourself to feel, soft and heavy, wrapped in silence. It holds unspoken creativity, left to yellow and curl like old canvases in the damp. It holds ancestral memories, old as bone, that hum in the walls like forgotten wiring. And somewhere deeper still, it holds the quiet pulse of deep intuition, a spring you never drew from because you didn't know it was there. The so-called fixes, the quick solutions, do not approach these rooms. They drug the sentry. They board up the inner doors. They drown out the whispers with noise and light. They offer you oblivion at the cost of deafness. But the truth is this: the real peace is not in silencing the sound. It is in turning toward it, not with panic, not with analysis, but with the slow, tired courage of someone willing to sit with what they hear. Tonight, when the sentry stirs, do not curse it. Do not fight the wakefulness. Lie still. Breathe slowly. Acknowledge the guardian. You hear something. It's okay. I'm listening too. Do not demand the source. Do not force the voice to speak in a language you understand. The sigh from the cellar. Imagine opening the door just enough to sit on the top step. Let the cool air rise, carrying with it the scent of earth, of something long forgotten but not gone. There are no monsters here, only tender, neglected parts of your own spirit, waiting for the moment you would finally notice them. The melody from the attic. Let it drift down, soft and patient, each note hanging in the air like a dust mote suspended in a shaft of moonlight. You don't need to turn it into a song. You don't need to follow it anywhere. You just need to let it exist. This wakeful vigil is not punishment. It is an invitation, a secret one, offered only when the noisy day-you has gone quiet enough to stop giving orders. The deepest healing, the kind that changes the shape of you, does not happen in forced sleep. It happens here, in the dark, in the long stretches of silence, in the listening. Your insomnia is not the enemy. It is the oldest language of your deepest self, speaking in a voice you have been too busy to hear. Tonight, you do not have to answer. Just listen, without judgment, without fear. And when the voice finally softens, you will notice a new kind of quiet. Not the quiet of absence, but of immense presence. Like standing in the center of an ancient forest at midnight, every tree breathing with you, every shadow holding 1,000 unspoken stories. You will feel the weight of countless lives around you, lives not separate from you, but braided into your own. You will know, without a single word, that the voice was never trying to keep you awake. It was calling you home. Chapter 4. When the stars inside, you outnumber the sky, look up. On a night unspoiled by the metallic glare of cities, when the air tastes of cool earth and the horizon curves like a patient secret, the sky becomes a cathedral. You tilt your head back and your breath catches. Billions upon billions of stars, each one an ancient lantern still burning across impossible distances. Their light began traveling toward you long before you existed. They shine in colors your eyes can barely register, some gold, some blue, some so faint they seem more like memories than points of fire. It feels infinite. It feels overwhelming. And for a moment, you imagine this must be the most staggering thing in existence. But then, close your eyes. Let the blackness fold over you like velvet. Now slip past the familiar hum of your thoughts, past the echo of the day's conversations, past the soft residue of emotions that cling to you like fog on your skin. Go deeper, where the mind stops being words and becomes a vast, luminous silence. Here lies a forbidden truth, one that almost no one tells you. The constellations within you make the night sky look sparse. Each flicker of thought is a star. Each surge of emotion, a sun burning its own chemical fire. Each fragment of memory, a comet arcing through darkness. And not just in your brain, but in the silent choreography of every cell in your body, in the molecular dance keeping you alive, in the billions of chemical reactions per second that hum along like an unseen orchestra. Your inner cosmos is vaster, denser, and more mysterious than anything the Hubble Space Telescope has ever captured. And yet, we walk around obsessed with what's out there, charting distant galaxies, arguing about the birth of the universe, while ignoring the supernova explosions of joy happening behind our ribs, the black holes of grief collapsing quietly in our chests, the nebulae of potential swirling just out of reach in our dreams. We are not just in the universe. We are the universe, a walking cluster of galaxies wearing skin. And sleep? Sleep is not an off switch. It's not a retreat. It's the spaceship that carries you into the uncharted depths of your own inner galaxy. When you dream, the internal stars burn brightest. They speak to you in wavelengths beyond words. They form constellations that map your deepest fears and your highest hopes. Think about it. The last time you woke with a sudden, inexplicable peace. The last time you opened your eyes and found that the answer to a problem had been waiting for you in the quiet corridors of the night. The last time you felt, without explanation, profoundly connected to something greater than yourself. That wasn't random. That was a transmission, a message from a distant sector of your own mind. It traveled light years through neural pathways, navigating the vast space between your subconscious and waking thought, until it finally reached mission control in your awareness. Ignore these journeys, treat sleep as just downtime, and you stay stranded on the launch pad, staring outward at the external universe, wondering why you feel small, why you feel disconnected, why the stars seem so far away when you contain them. The truth is, the loneliness that gnaws at so many of us isn't just about being apart from others. It's about being cut off from the teeming, vibrant conscious cosmos within your own skin. So tonight, don't just fall asleep. Launch. Feel the gentle rumble in your mind as you break free from the familiar gravity of waking thought. Notice how the mental chatter fades like a receding shoreline. Watch as internal stars begin to emerge, not as words, but as points of light, pulses of feeling, pure awareness. You navigate not by logic now, but by the magnetic pull of curiosity. You drift past the asteroid belt of daily worries, through the nebula of forgotten dreams, where colors blend in ways the waking mind cannot hold. You pass the pulsar of your own heartbeat, a rhythmic, ancient beacon guiding you deeper. Here, there are wonders no telescope will ever glimpse. The binary star system of love and loss orbiting each other for eternity. The swirling auroras of a long-buried memory reforming at the edge of consciousness. The quiet, steady glow of pure presence at your core. Light that has no source, yet never fades. And as you drift further into this living constellation, something shifts. The boundaries of self grow thin. You are no longer an observer of the stars. You are the stars. Billions upon billions, breathing, shining, conscious, in the infinite dark. Chapter 5. The gentle rebellion of closing your eyes. In a world screaming for your eyes, everything is a thief. Screens flash like desperate street performers, each one juggling colors and lights in the hope of stealing your gaze for just one more second. Headlines blare as if the earth will crumble if you don't read them right now. Notifications ping with the sharp, metallic urgency of a fire alarm, even when they carry nothing but trivial echoes. Demands pull at you from every angle. Work deadlines, social obligations, the relentless parade of urgent but hollow tasks. And in this ceaseless noise, the most radical, forbidden act isn't shouting back. It's something far softer. It's the sigh you don't even realize you've been holding. It's the gentle weight in your chest that says, enough. It's the slow, velvet fall of your eyelids as if the world itself is dimming the lights for a private performance you've been too busy to attend. Closing your eyes is not weakness. It is the quietest, most potent rebellion. Because every time you consciously choose sleep, not the mindless collapse of exhaustion, but the deliberate retreat into darkness, you are dethroning something. You are lowering the crown from the head of the frantic, grasping, fear-driven ego that believes it must control everything, see everything, react to everything, every single moment. You are declaring a ceasefire in the exhausting war of constant attention. The forbidden truth is this: true power, true clarity, true resilience doesn't come from relentless vigilance. It blooms in the fertile darkness of deliberate retreat. Think of the greatest injustices, the deepest personal struggles, the overwhelming tides of modern chaos. Fighting them with the same wired, sleep-deprived, twitching consciousness that helped create them is like trying to put out a fire by pouring gasoline. The revolution begins when you step off the battlefield, when you lower your sword, not in defeat, but in wisdom, when you close your eyes. In that sacred dark, a different kind of intelligence takes the throne, an intelligence woven from the whispers of your ancestors, the quiet instructions etched into your DNA, the wisdom stored in your bones. It doesn't strategize like the daytime mind. It integrates. It doesn't panic. It perceives patterns invisible to light. It doesn't shout with outrage. It hums with the deep bass note of compassionate understanding. Every night you resist this rebellion. Every night you scroll yourself into numbness, think yourself into exhaustion, or drug yourself into a counterfeit stillness. You feed the tyrant. You strengthen the illusion that your worth and your safety depend on constant external vigilance. You become a servant to the beast that has been devouring you from the inside. But every night you surrender. You arm the resistance. You refill the deep wells of intuition. You let the fractured pieces of your psyche drift back into place. You craft a kind of armor that cannot be forged by force, an armor of presence. Flexible as willow, strong as stone, invisible yet undeniable. This armor doesn't block life out. It lets life pass through you without shattering you. Without it, you walk into the day's battles naked, armed only with the brittle sword of reaction. Every insult cuts you. Every disappointment cracks you. Every demand wears you thinner and thinner. With it, you become unbreakable. Not because you've hardened, but because you've deepened, rooted in a soil no storm can reach. That root lies only in the inner world, and the gate to it opens only when the eyes close. So tonight, don't just sleep. Rebel. Let your eyelids fall like a slow, deliberate curtain drawn across a stage that's been playing the same frantic scene for too long. Feel the soft power in that descent. You are not giving up. You are gearing up. You are returning to the true command center of your being, restored, reconnected, and radiantly, rebelliously, at peace. And as the last traces of light dissolve, remember, every great revolution begins in secret. This is yours. Let it begin with a breath, with a surrender, with the profound courage of darkness chosen. Chapter 6. The Forgotten Language of Liminality. What your twilight mind tries to tell you before you sleep. Imagine for a moment the precise instant your head touches the pillow tonight. That sigh, the release of weight, the way the world outside the window blurs just slightly. Now, consider this. What if that fragile threshold, that tender space between, isn't just a corridor to oblivion, but a whispering gallery, a place where a language older than words flickers, desperate to be heard? a language we've collectively forgotten, dismissing it as mere drowsiness, random thoughts, the prelude to nothing. What if, night after night, vital messages from the deepest parts of ourselves dissolve, unheard, into the dark, simply because we no longer know how to listen? What peace, what self-understanding drifts away with them, leaving us subtly unmoored even in our waking lives? Tonight, let's sit by this threshold, not to cross it forcefully, but to linger respectfully at its edge, like a child listening at a closed door where adults speak in hushed, important tones. Close your eyes gently now, not to sleep, but to attune. Feel the heaviness in your limbs, the delicious surrender of muscle and bone. Notice the dance of light and shadow behind your eyelids. Not random static, perhaps, but the first brushstrokes of that twilight tongue. It speaks in sensations, not sentences. A fleeting warmth spreading through your chest like spilled honey. A sudden, inexplicable image. A forgotten street corner from childhood. The curve of a seashell. The scent of rain on hot pavement. A wave of emotion, sweet or melancholic, rising without apparent cause, then receding like a gentle tide. These are not distractions. They are the vocabulary. Think of it as the mind shedding its daytime armor. The relentless logic, the curated persona, the to-do list etched in neon. They soften, they blur. What remains, what rises to the surface in this softened state, is the raw, unedited essence. The anxieties we neatly file away during the day now float freely, not as monsters, but as fragile, half-formed shapes in the dim light. The joys we rush past resurface as gentle warmth. The unresolved sorrows hum a quiet, aching song. This liminal space is where the subconscious, that vast oceanic depth within us, dares to breathe its truth into the thinning air of consciousness. It's where intuition weaves its tapestries from threads of memory, sensation, and pure, wordless knowing. To dismiss this, to rush headlong into sleep without pausing here, is like throwing away unopened letters addressed to your soul. Consider the ancient practices, the quiet wisdom woven through cultures long before alarm clocks and blue light. The ritual of preparing for sleep wasn't merely about physical rest. It was about creating sacred space for this twilight communion, the lighting of a single candle, the murmuring of a prayer, the deliberate slowing of breath. These weren't superstitions. They were technologies of attention, finely tuned instruments for listening to the whispers of the liminal. They understood that the threshold itself held medicine, that the messages received there, however fragmentary, however strange, were guides. They could point towards hidden fears needing acknowledgement, forgotten joys longing for revival, creative sparks waiting to ignite, or simply the profound reassurance of being deeply, intimately connected to the unseen currents of one's own being. Without this listening, what armor do we lack? We drift through our days feeling subtly disconnected, a faint static hum beneath the surface of our lives. We wonder why inspiration feels elusive, why anxieties linger like uninvited guests, why a sense of profound peace sometimes feels just out of reach, even amidst comfort. We might seek answers frantically out there, in books, in advice, in relentless productivity, overlooking the quiet counsel offered freely each night on the pillow's edge. The cost is a subtle alienation from our own depths. But the reward, is profound integration. It's the gentle unraveling of knots we didn't know we carried. It's the unexpected solution that arrives not through force, but as a gift born on the tide of twilight. It's the deep, wordless comfort of feeling known, not by another, but by the vast, wise presence within. It's waking not just rested in body, but subtly realigned in spirit, carrying the quiet resonance of that twilight conversation into the dawn. So tonight, beloved listener, as you settle, resist the urge to flee into sleep. Tarry. Let your breathing become the softest rhythm, a lullaby for your busy mind. Greet the swirling images, the fleeting feelings, the nonsensical thoughts not as interruptions, but as messengers. Don't grasp, don't analyze. Simply observe with the tenderness you'd offer a sleeping child. Say softly, inwardly, I am here. I am listening. Notice the warmth that might bloom in your chest at this simple act of attention. Notice how the frantic edges of the day begin to soften. Not into nothingness, but into a different kind of presence. This is the forgotten language. It speaks in the sigh of release, in the flicker behind closed eyes, in the quiet hum of your own aliveness as wakefulness gently dissolves. Listen. Not with your ears, but with the quiet lake of your resting mind. The whispers you catch tonight, however faint, might just be the most important conversation you have all day. They are the map to territories within you waiting to be rediscovered, the gentle key offered in the sacred silence before the dream. Let the twilight speak, and as its soft murmurings finally blend with the rhythm of your breath, let sleep rise to meet you like a welcoming tide, carrying you not into oblivion, but into the embrace of your own profound, whispering depths. And as the tide of that liminal sea recedes, leaving its secrets like glistening shells on the shore of your awareness, we drift towards another hidden shore, a place not of whispers, but of profound silence. What if the deepest revelations come not from what the twilight mind says, but from the vast wordless expanse it sometimes touches? What if the greatest forbidden truth about sleep lies not in its activity, but in its profound, transformative stillness? Chapter 7. The Unbearable Lightness of Not Thinking. Why your mind's deepest void is its most fertile ground. Consider the sheer, almost scandalous luxury of it. Not merely closing your eyes, but allowing the relentless chatter, the commentary, the planning, the worrying, the remembering, to simply cease. Not through force, not through meditation's focused effort, but through a surrender so complete it feels like falling backward into a silent, star-filled sky. This is the essence of deep, dreamless sleep, the unbearable lightness of not thinking. We often fear this void, mistaking it for oblivion, a little death. But what if this apparent emptiness is the most potent alchemy our consciousness performs? What if the fertile ground for everything we cherish, creativity, clarity, emotional resilience, isn't tilled by our relentless mental plowing, but by this nightly fallow period? What wisdom are we starving ourselves of by clinging, even in sleep, to the faint echoes of thought? Imagine the mind not as a machine needing constant input, but as a vast, intricate garden. Daylight hours are for tending, planting, harvesting, the necessary work. But what happens if the garden is never allowed to rest? If the soil is never left undisturbed, open to the fall of night dew and the silent work of microorganisms beneath the surface? It becomes depleted, brittle. The vibrant colors fade. The fruits lose their sweetness. Deep, dreamless sleep is that essential fallow period. It is the mind's black earth, turned and left quiet under the moon. It is the profound silence between the notes where the resonance builds. In this sacred void, the relentless processing stops. The neural pathways, like overgrown vines choked with daytime debris, are gently pruned back. Connections that no longer serve are dissolved. New pathways, faint trails of potential, are quietly laid down in the stillness. This isn't inactivity. It's profound, unseen restoration. It's the universe within you, rearranging its stars. Think of the moments of purest insight, the aha, that strikes like lightning in the shower or upon waking. It rarely comes amidst furious concentration. It arrives when the thinking mind has loosened its grip, when you've dipped a toe into that silent pool. The deep void of sleep is an immersion in that pool. It's where the fragmented pieces of experience, emotion, and knowledge, stirred up by the day, finally settle. Like silt in a jar of turbulent water, given stillness, they find their place. Patterns emerge not through logic, but through the silent gravity of resonance. Solutions to problems that seemed insurmountable by daylight reveal themselves not as arguments, but as quiet certainties, blooming like night flowers in the dawn of wakefulness. This is the intelligence of the void. It doesn't shout its answers. It allows understanding to crystallize in the spaciousness it provides. The modern world wages a silent war on this void. We fill every waking moment, and increasingly the precious threshold of sleep itself, with stimulation. Screens, podcasts, music, the relentless hum of information. We fear the quiet, mistaking it for boredom, for emptiness, for a lack of self. We carry this fear into the night, clinging to the shallows of light sleep, where fragmented thoughts still dart like minnows, avoiding the profound, restorative depths where thought dissolves. The cost? A mind perpetually tired, not just in body, but in spirit. Creativity feels like wringing water from a stone, resilience frays under pressure. Emotions become jagged, reactive, lacking the deep reservoir of calm the void replenishes. We feel perpetually full, yet strangely hollow. The unbearable lightness becomes a burden we refuse to put down. But the reward is the cultivation of an inner sanctuary. It's waking not just physically refreshed, but mentally spacious. It's the quiet confidence that arises from knowing there is a place within you, vast, silent, and utterly dependable, untouched by the day's storms. It's the effortless flow of ideas, the sudden clarity in chaos, the deep well of calm you can draw from when the world feels loud. It's the profound sense of being rooted, not just in your thoughts and feelings, but in the silent, fertile ground of pure being that underlies them. This void isn't nothingness. It's the source, the womb of consciousness itself. So tonight, as you surrender to the pillow, invite the void. Don't just allow the thoughts to fade. Welcome the silence that follows. Feel it not as an absence, but as a presence, a vast, velvety darkness, rich with potential. Imagine your mind, like that overworked garden, sighing with relief as the tools are finally laid down. Feel the space opening up, not as emptiness, but as possibility. Release the need to do, even the need to listen as before. Simply be within the growing quiet. Let the silence hold you. It might feel unfamiliar, even unsettling at first, like stepping into a vast, dark cathedral. But trust the ancient architecture of your being. This void is your birthright. It is the fertile ground where the seeds of tomorrow's peace, tomorrow's creativity, tomorrow's resilience are silently sown in the deepest, darkest, most nourishing earth. Let go into the unbearable, essential luminous lightness of not thinking, and know that in that surrender you are not lost, but profoundly found, cradled in the silent heart of your own existence. Let the vastness take you. The garden is resting. The stars within are rearranging. All is well. All is profoundly, silently well. And from that deep, wordless well of stillness, something tender and luminous sometimes rises, a reflection, not of the world outside, but of the hidden landscapes within. What if the dreams we so often dismiss as nonsense are actually delicate bridges cast by the soul? What ancient, forbidden wisdom flows across those shimmering, ephemeral spans in the quiet heart of the night? Chapter 8. The Architecture of Impossible Things. How your dreams rewrite the laws of physics to show you what's real. Close your eyes. Not to sleep. Not yet, but to remember. Remember the feeling of flying, not in a plane, not strapped into machinery, but you, arms outstretched or not, it didn't matter. Soaring effortlessly over rooftops, skimming treetops, diving through clouds thick as cotton candy. Remember the sheer, unadulterated rightness of it. The wind wasn't cold. It was pure exhilaration, woven into sensation. Gravity wasn't a law. It was a suggestion you politely declined. Now, open your eyes. Feel the familiar weight of your body against the chair, the floor, the unyielding earth. The contradiction is jarring, isn't it? In the waking world, such flight is impossible, a fantasy. Yet, in the dreaming world, it wasn't just possible. It was real. Viscerally, undeniably real. Your bones knew it. Your breath knew it. Your soaring heart knew it beyond any shadow of doubt. What does this mean? What forbidden truth lies hidden in this nightly dismantling of reality's scaffolding? What if your dreams aren't nonsense, but a meticulously crafted architecture of the impossible, designed to show you the deeper, more fluid laws governing your own consciousness, and perhaps existence itself? Think of the dreamscape. It's a world built not of brick and mortar, but of pure, malleable meaning. Physics, as we rigidly understand it in daylight, dissolves. Time folds in on itself. You are simultaneously a child in your grandmother's kitchen and an adult facing a terrifying, unknown challenge. Space contracts and expands. A doorway in your childhood home opens onto a vast, alien desert. People long gone stand beside you, solid, warm, speaking with voices you remember down to the tremor. Impossible conversations flow with impossible logic, yet feel utterly coherent in the moment. A teacup might hold an ocean. A whisper might shake mountains. This isn't random chaos. It's a different kind of order, an order dictated not by external constants, but by the internal landscape of your soul. Your fears, your longings, your unresolved grief, your wildest hopes, your deepest knowing. The impossible becomes possible because the dream is sculpted from the substance of your being, not the limitations of the external world. It reveals a startling truth. Consciousness, at its core, isn't bound by the physical laws it perceives when focused outward. It operates by the physics of meaning, of emotion, of pure potential. Consider the builder. Who designs these impossible cities, these fluid narratives? It's not your waking logical self. That self is asleep, off duty. The architect is a deeper intelligence. Call it the subconscious, the soul, the vast inner self. It speaks a language of symbol, sensation, and profound emotional resonance. It takes the raw materials of your day, a fleeting worry, a moment of joy, a song fragment, an unresolved argument, and dissolves them in the alchemical bath of the night. Then it rebuilds them, not as they were, but as they are in the hidden dimensions of your inner world. That feeling of being chased, it might not be about a literal pursuer, but the weight of an unfulfilled obligation, the pace of a life lived too fast, a fear you refuse to name, given legs and breath and relentless presence. That impossible house with endless shifting rooms. It might be the labyrinth of your own psyche, the unexplored corridors of memory and potential, the feeling that you contain multitudes you haven't yet met. The dream doesn't explain, it embodies. It shows you the architecture of your inner reality, using the impossible as its blueprint, because only the impossible can adequately represent the fluid, boundless nature of what lives within you. We often dismiss dreams upon waking. We shake our heads at the absurdity, file them under weird brain noise, and rush into the day governed by concrete rules and predictable cause and effect. We prioritize the physics of the external, mistaking it for the only reality. In doing so, we commit a subtle but profound act of self-erasure. We ignore the nightly reports from the frontiers of our own consciousness. We silence the architect who shows us, through impossible vistas and fluid forms, the true nature of our being, that we are not rigid machines, but vast creative potentials, that our fears can be faced not as monsters, but as landscapes we traverse, that our joys can be oceans we swim in, that connection transcends time and space. The cost of ignoring this? We live smaller. We feel trapped by the apparent solidity of the waking world. We forget our own capacity for fluidity, for transformation, for creating meaning that bends the rigid rules we impose on ourselves. We lose touch with the profound sense that we are, at our essence, architects of the impossible. But the reward is liberation. It's waking with the lingering echo of flight still humming in your muscles. Not as a fantasy, but as a memory of a deeper truth. It's understanding that the anxiety dream isn't just a nightmare, but a map. A stark, impossible landscape revealing the terrain of a hidden fear. Now visible, now navigable. It's seeing the impossible conversations with loved ones gone as proof that love's architecture endures beyond physical form. It's carrying the fluid logic of the dream into your waking life, not to deny reality, but to engage with it more creatively, knowing that solutions can come from unexpected, impossible angles, that rigid problems might have fluid answers, that you contain worlds within you, governed by different, more compassionate, more expansive laws. This dream architecture isn't an escape from reality, it's an expansion of it. It's evidence of your consciousness's boundless creativity, its refusal to be confined. It's a nightly reminder that you are far more vast, more mysterious, more inherently magical than the daylight world often allows you to believe. So tonight, as you drift, don't just have dreams, visit them. Step into the impossible architecture not as a passive observer, but as an explorer in a land where the only limits are those you unconsciously bring with you. When you find yourself flying, feel the wind not on skin, but on soul. When you walk through walls, recognize it as a metaphor for dissolving barriers within. When time bends, understand it as a glimpse into the eternal present that underlies all moments. Thank the architect. It is the deepest, wisest part of you, building impossible things to show you what is fundamentally, beautifully real, the boundless landscape of your own being. Let the walls of the possible dissolve. Let the fluid logic of the soul take precedence. Build your impossible cities. Fly, breathe underwater. Hold the ocean in a teacup. For in the sacred, silent hours of the night, within the architecture of impossible things, you are remembering who you truly are. Not a creature bound by earth, but a consciousness dreaming itself awake, limitless, and forever reaching for the stars. Rest now, builder of worlds. The impossible awaits your return. And as the last impossible spire fades, dissolving like mist in the dawn, we feel the subtle shift. Time, that rigid master of the waking world, begins to stretch and warp in the dream's afterglow. What if those moments of impossible flight or endless corridors hint at a deeper, more fluid truth, not just about space, but about time itself? What ancient secret does the dreaming mind guard about the nature of the hours, the minutes, the eternal now? Chapter 9. The Elastic Hourglass. When time dissolves and eternity sips tea in your dreams. Imagine for a moment the relentless pressure of the ticking clock, the way it segments your life into neat, frantic parcels. Minutes for emails, hours for work, seconds snatched for breath. It's a tyrant dressed in digits, measuring your worth in productivity, aging you in relentless increments. Now, recall a dream. Not just any dream, but one where time lost all meaning. Perhaps you lived an entire, vivid lifetime in a single night. Childhood, love, loss, triumph, all flowing seamlessly, like watercolors blending on paper. Or maybe you wandered an endless corridor where moments stretched into molasses, a single footstep echoing for what felt like years. Or the opposite. Years flashed by in the blink of an eye. Seasons blurring like scenery outside a speeding train. Upon waking, the dissonance hits. The alarm screams. The clock asserts its dominance. But the feeling lingers, a profound, unsettling, yet strangely liberating sense that time, as you know it, is a construct, a cage, and in the silent kingdom of sleep, you were briefly, astonishingly, free. What forbidden truth does this nightly dissolution reveal? What if time isn't a river flowing in one direction, but an ocean, and your dreaming mind is the only vessel capable of sailing its true, boundless depths? Think of the hourglass in your mind, the one you carry awake. Sand flows relentlessly from future to past, grain by precious grain. We watch it, hearts pounding, trying to catch the falling seconds, build castles in the narrowing waste. But in sleep, the glass turns elastic. The neck widens, the sand doesn't just slow, it swirls, eddies, flows backward, pools in impossible pockets. Past, present, and future cease to be separate countries with guarded borders. They become neighborhoods in the same vast, dreaming city. You sip tea with your younger self, offering comfort she desperately needed then, wisdom you only earned decades later. You stand beside your older self, not as a stranger, but as a confidant, feeling the weight of choices not yet made, seeing the landscape of a life still unfolding. A conversation with someone long gone doesn't feel like memory. It feels like presence, unfolding now, rich with unspoken understanding that transcends the linear narrative of their life and yours. This isn't chaos. It's coherence of a higher order. It's the mind operating outside the dictatorship of chronology, revealing a startling truth. Consciousness is not bound by time. It inhabits it fluidly, like a fish in water. The arrow of time is an invention of the waking mind, necessary for survival, but a profound simplification of a far more intricate reality. Consider the emotional alchemy this allows. In the elastic hourglass, healing doesn't require years of therapy. It can happen in a single, potent dream moment. A long-buried grief, too sharp to touch in daylight, surfaces not as a wound, but as a landscape you walk through, accompanied by figures of compassion. Perhaps your future self, perhaps an archetypal guide. You emerge not cured, but integrated, carrying the sorrow like smoothed sea glass, beautiful in its weathered wholeness. A paralyzing fear of the future doesn't need endless reassurance. It can be faced directly in the dream, transformed not by logic, but by immersion. You walk into the heart of the storm, feel its fury, and discover not annihilation, but your own unshakable core, forged in the timeless now. The dream doesn't heal by erasing the past or guaranteeing the future. It heals by dissolving the rigid barrier between them, allowing wisdom to flow freely across all moments of your being. It shows you that the pain lodged in yesterday and the anxiety anchored in tomorrow are both experienced and can be transformed in the boundless present of the dreaming mind. We cling fiercely to our chronological reality. We measure our worth by milestones achieved against the ticking clock. We fear aging, mourn lost time, and rush towards futures we hope will redeem the present. We dismiss dreams where time bends as neurological glitches, fascinating but meaningless. In doing so, we chain ourselves to a profound limitation. We believe we are the sum of our past actions, trapped by their consequences, hurtling towards an inevitable end. We feel like leaves swept down a relentless river, powerless against the current. The cost is existential anxiety, a low hum beneath the surface of even our happiest days, the feeling that life is slipping through our fingers, that we are constantly running out of something. We become impoverished in the currency of eternity, starving while sitting beside a banquet we refuse to acknowledge. But the reward is sovereignty. It's waking with the visceral understanding that you are not merely a passenger on the river of time, but its source, that the hourglass is yours to shape. The elastic dreamscape is your nightly proof that consciousness transcends the linear. It offers a taste of eternity, not as endless duration, but as a profound depth of now. This knowing changes everything. The frantic pace softens, deadlines lose their talon-like grip. Regret becomes less a prison and more a landscape you can revisit with compassion, knowing it's not a sealed tomb, but a living part of your vast inner tapestry. Anticipation loses its sharp edge of anxiety, becoming instead a gentle unfolding you participate in, moment by spacious moment. You begin to live not against time, but within its true fluid nature. You cultivate presence, the ability to inhabit the now so fully that past and future cease to be burdens, but become rich dimensions enriching your current experience. You become a citizen of eternity, sipping tea with all versions of yourself across the elastic spectrum of your being. So tonight, as you surrender, invite the elasticity. Feel the rigid structures of minutes and hours begin to soften around you, like wax warmed by a gentle flame. When the dreamscape unfolds, don't just observe its timeless narratives, inhabit them. If you find yourself in a moment from decades past, don't rush to change it. Feel the texture of that long ago sunlight on your skin, the weight of emotions you couldn't name then, and offer the compassion you now possess. If you glimpse the future, receive it not as prophecy, but as possibility, a whisper from a potential self. If time stretches or compresses, lean into the sensation. Feel the molasses. Slow seconds as an invitation to profound depth, the rapid blur as a reminder of life's precious, fleeting beauty. Thank the dream for dissolving the cage. The ticking clock will still be there in the morning. But you will carry something new, a quiet knowing, a sense of spaciousness within your own lifespan. The sand still flows, but you've felt the glass breathe. You've touched the ocean beneath the river. Rest now, not as a slave to time, but as a sovereign in the silent, elastic heart of forever. Let the hourglass soften. Let eternity hold you. All moments are here, now,
waiting to be lived, and as the sands settle back into their familiar flow, carrying the scent of eternity into the dawn.
A final question emerges from the depths. If our sleeping consciousness can bend time, commune across its barriers, and touch the eternal, who else might be sharing that boundless inner ocean? What ancient silent conversation are we part of every time we close our eyes and step beyond the veil of self? Chapter 10. The Whispering Gallery. How your loneliest night proves you were never alone. Close your eyes. Feel the weight of the pillow, the cool side of the sheet, the vast silence stretching out around you in the dark. In this quiet, a familiar ache might surface, the echo of isolation, the feeling that you are, ultimately, a solitary consciousness adrift in an indifferent universe. Your thoughts are yours alone, your joys, your sorrows, your secret fears, locked within the vault of your skull. We build lives, connect, love fiercely. Yet this underlying hum of separateness persists, especially in the vulnerable hours before sleep. It feels like truth, an unshakable, cold reality. But what if it's the most profound illusion? What if, every time you drift into sleep, your mind steps into a whispering gallery, a vast, resonant chamber where the walls are thin and the murmur of otherness bleeds through? Not as voices, but as shared symbols, universal landscapes, and an ancient, unspoken language of the soul. What forbidden truth does the dreaming state reveal? That your deepest solitude is actually the threshold to the most intimate connection imaginable? Think of the dream figures, not just the familiar faces, loved ones, lost friends, but the strangers. The old woman selling impossible fruits in a moonlit market. The child guiding you through a crumbling city. The faceless companion sharing your panic in a falling elevator. They feel real, not like actors, but like presences with their own weight, their own histories humming just beneath the surface of your perception. Upon waking, we dismiss them. Just my subconscious. But what if that explanation is too small? What if these figures aren't only fragments of your own psyche, but also resonances, echoes of other minds, other journeys, brushing against yours in the shared fluid space of the dreaming field? The symbols that arise, the endless staircase, the tidal wave, the locked door, the radiant light, aren't they startlingly universal? Cultures separated by millennia and geography dream of similar archetypes. Is this coincidence, or evidence of a shared substrate, a collective ocean of consciousness, where our individual minds are but currents? Consider the emotional bleed. You dream of profound, inexplicable grief for a loss you never personally experienced, or sudden, soaring joy unrelated to your waking life, or a terror that feels ancient, primal, far older than your own story. Upon waking, it clings, heavy and foreign. We say, it was just a dream, yet the emotion feels borrowed or shared. What if the walls between minds are porous in sleep, not enough to transmit specific thoughts, but permeable to the raw essence of feeling? That the collective anxiety of a world event, the unspoken sorrow of a generation, the buried hope of humanity, can seep into the individual dreamscape, manifesting as personal yet strangely impersonal landscapes of emotion. The dream becomes a tuning fork, vibrating not just to your own frequency, but to the hum of the whole. Your loneliness in that moonlit market or crumbling city isn't proof of isolation, but a misread signal of profound, invisible entanglement. We fiercely guard our individuality. We build identities, egos, walls of me and not me. We dismiss the shared resonance of dreams as neurological happenstance, reducing the profound to the merely personal. We cling to the illusion of radical separateness because it feels safer, more controllable. But the cost is deep. Spiritual starvation. We feel fundamentally orphaned in the cosmos. We seek connection through screens and words, often amplifying the feeling of distance. We mistake the silence between stars for emptiness, rather than a vast humming network of light we cannot yet perceive with waking senses. This illusion of isolation fuels our anxieties, our conflicts, our desperate searches for belonging. It makes the night feel vast and cold. But the reward is cosmic belonging. It's waking with the lingering sense that the old woman in the moonlit market knew you, that the child guiding you through ruins carried a wisdom older than both of you, that the tidal wave of emotion wasn't just yours, but a wave you rode alongside countless other dreamers in the shared deep. This knowing doesn't erase your individuality, it situates it. You are a unique note, but part of an eternal symphony. The Whispering Gallery reveals that consciousness isn't a series of isolated lanterns in the dark, but a vast, interconnected, bioluminescent sea. Your private thoughts, your personal dreams, are ripples in this shared medium. The archetypes are the shared landmarks. The emotional resonances are the currents connecting us. This is the ultimate forbidden truth, sleep whispers. You are never alone. Not truly. Not even in your deepest silence. The solitude you feel is the thinness of the veil, not the absence of connection. So tonight, beloved listener, as you surrender to the pillow, embrace the vulnerability. Feel the vastness, not as emptiness, but as potential connection. When the dreamscape unfolds, greet the strangers not as phantoms, but as fellow travelers in the Whispering Gallery. Listen to the symbols not just as personal messages, but as fragments of a shared story. Humanity has been dreaming since the first fire flickered in the dark. Feel the foreign emotion wash over you, and whisper inwardly, "Whose sorrow is this? Whose joy? I hold it for a moment. I am not its source, but its witness and its vessel." Recognize your loneliness for what it truly is. The ache of a wave momentarily cresting, believing itself separate from the ocean. The ocean is there, vast, humming, holding you. Rest now, not as an island, but as a unique curve in the shore of a boundless sea. Let the whispers lull you. The old woman smiles, the child waits, the locked door trembles with possibility, the light beckons. They are not just you, they are the echo of everything. And in the sacred silence of your sleeping mind, the gallery resonates with a truth warmer than any blanket, more comforting than any lullaby. You belong, you are heard, you are part of the whispering whole. Close your eyes. The connection was never broken. It only deepens in the dark. Sleep now. The universe dreams with you. And in that shared dreaming, the loneliest night becomes proof of the most profound, the most forbidden, the most beautiful intimacy of all. Rest. You are held. You are home. The gallery sighs with the breath of 1,000,000 dreamers, and you are humming the melody. Always. Chapter 11. The Unseen Guardians Who Weep When You Rush to Dreamland. Close your eyes, not yet to sleep, but to listen inward. Feel the subtle hum of your body settling. That sigh. Is it relief? Or is it a quiet plea? We treat sleep like a switch, don't we? Flicked off in exhaustion, flicked on by the shrill cry of an alarm. We plunge into the dark, desperate for oblivion. believing the act of closing our eyes is enough. But the forbidden truth whispers, sleep is not a destination you crash into. It is a sacred threshold you must be invited across. Imagine, if you will, ancient gatekeepers, not stern, armored figures, but beings woven from moonlight and the scent of chamomile, their forms shifting like shadows on water. They stand at the very edge of wakefulness, where thought softens into sensation. These are the guardians of threshold. They witness your frantic approach, the buzzing phone cast aside at the last second, the unresolved argument replaying in your mind like a broken record, the gnawing list for tomorrow already forming claws in your belly. They see the tension coiled in your shoulders, the shallow breath held prisoner in your chest, and they weep, silently. Tiny crystalline tears that evaporate before they touch the ground, not tears of anger, but of profound sorrow, for they know what you have forgotten. The space before sleep is the antechamber of transformation. It is where the day's rough edges are smoothed by the river of letting go. It is where the soul takes a final, deep breath before diving into the ocean of the unconscious. Rushing past this space, dragging the clutter and clamor of the day behind you, it's like barging into a temple, muddy boots, shouting demands, expecting revelation. What happens when you ignore their silent vigil? The guardians don't slam the gate. They simply step aside, and you cross the threshold burdened. The detritus of the day sinks with you into the depths. It tangles in the roots of your dreams, turning them from nourishing streams into murky, unsettling swamps. You might still find oblivion, yes, but the deeper magic, the gentle repair of cells whispered by starlight, the quiet sorting of memory and emotion, the subtle download of insight from the vast library of your deeper self, becomes muffled, distorted. You wake feeling not renewed, but vaguely haunted, as if you attended a crucial meeting, but arrived late, disheveled, and missed the most important part. The peace promised on the other side remains just out of reach, a reflection in water disturbed by the stones you carried in. The reward then, the shimmering gift held out by these weeping guardians, lies in the approach. 5 minutes. That's all it asks. 5 minutes where the world ceases its demands. Lie still. Feel the weight of your body welcomed by the bed. Listen to the quiet symphony of your own breath, the tide coming in, the tide going out. Notice the subtle dance of sensation, the coolness of the sheet, the warmth beneath the blanket, the distant hum of the night. Don't judge, don't analyze. Simply be present in this liminal space. Offer your exhaustion, your worries, not as burdens to be solved, but as offerings to be released into the gentle night. Whisper inwardly, I am ready, I am listening. And watch. The guardians might not stop weeping immediately. Habits are deep grooves. But slowly, a shift. Their forms grow less agitated, more serene. The moonlight seems to gather around them. As you truly arrive, truly relinquish the frantic grip of the day, a profound calm descends. Not the forced stillness of exhaustion, but the deep, resonant quiet of acceptance. This is the invitation accepted. The gate doesn't just open, it dissolves. You are carried across not by force, but by a current of profound surrender. The descent into true sleep becomes a gentle sinking, like a leaf settling onto still water. And in that sacred space before, cultivated with kindness, lies the forgotten key to the deep, restorative, transformative power of the night. The peace the guardians always longed to give you. Let your breath slow now. Feel the welcome. The threshold awaits. Chapter 12. The silent language. Your pillow translates every night, and why you keep forgetting it by dawn. Shh. Listen, not with your ears, but with the skin of your soul. Beneath the rustle of sheets, beneath the rhythm of your own breath, there's another conversation happening. It's older than words, deeper than thought. It's the silent dialogue between the kingdom of your body and the empire of your mind, conducted not in sentences, but in sighs, in twitches, in the sudden coolness of a foot-seeking refuge outside the blanket. This, my friend, is the forgotten parlance of the night. Your pillow isn't just foam or feathers. It's an ancient scribe, diligently taking notes in a language you understood perfectly as a child but have, tragically, desperately, unlearned. Think of your body lying there. It is not merely a vessel you inhabit by day and park by night. It is a wise, weathered elder, carrying the map of every joy, every wound, every unnoticed tension held in the curve of a shoulder, the clench of a jaw long after the stressful meeting ended. When the harsh glare of daylight consciousness dims, the body finally gets the floor. It speaks in the vocabulary of sensation, a dull ache that isn't quite pain, a restless leg that isn't quite cramp, a sudden wave of heat or cold that seems to come from nowhere. These aren't random glitches. They are urgent telegrams sent through the quiet night wires. And your mind? In sleep, especially in the twilight realms before deep slumber or upon first stirring, it isn't the sharp, analytical CEO of the day. It becomes a dream poet, a surrealist painter. It receives the body's telegrams, the ache, the restlessness, the heat, and translates them into the only language it can access freely in that state. Symbol. That knot of tension in your shoulder becomes a heavy stone you're carrying uphill in a dream. The unresolved conflict from the day becomes a snarling beast chasing you through a labyrinth. The ignored grief becomes a vast, cold ocean you're drowning in. Your pillow, your faithful scribe, records it all, the tremor, the sigh, the tear you don't remember shedding. The forbidden truth here is devastatingly simple. Your dreams are not nonsense. They are the mind's poetic, desperate attempt to make you feel what your body has been screaming all along and what your waking mind has stubbornly refused to hear. We wake, groggy, clutching at fragments of bizarre imagery. Why was I ironing a cat on a volcano? And dismiss it as meaningless neural static. We ignore the lingering residue of dread from the beast-chase dream, the profound sadness from the ocean, the crushing weight of that dreamstone. We swallow coffee, silencing the body's dawn murmurs, the stiffness, the low energy, blaming the bad sleep, never connecting it to the stone, the beast, the ocean, or the real-life tension, conflict, and grief we've been suppressing. The cost of this forgetting? It's a slow erosion of wholeness. We walk through our days disconnected, a mind barking orders at a body it no longer understands, ignoring the flares it sends up nightly. The unresolved tensions crystallize into chronic pain. The suppressed emotions leak out as unexplained anxiety or simmering irritability. The body's wisdom goes unheeded, leading us into situations that make us more tense, more conflicted, more grief-stricken, perpetuating the cycle. We lose touch with our deepest needs, our authentic feelings, translating everything into the sterile, often inadequate language of the day. The reward, the profound peace hidden within this forbidden knowledge, lies in becoming a humble student of the night. Before sleep, spend a few moments not just in your body, but listening to it. Scan gently, without judgment. Where is there tightness, heaviness, restlessness? Don't try to fix it, just acknowledge its presence. Ah, shoulder. You feel clenched. Hello, restless leg. You're buzzing tonight. This simple act of recognition is the first step in relearning the language. Then, upon waking, before the rush, lie still. Don't grab for the phone. Recall not just the dream images, but the feeling they carried. That stone. What feels heavy right now? That beast. What feels like it's chasing you? That ocean. Where is the sadness? Don't analyze, just feel the connection. Your pillow has delivered the message, deciphering it, integrating it. The ache acknowledged, the conflict faced, the grief allowed, is how you mend the fracture between body and mind. It's how you stop fighting yourself in the dark. It's how you find a peace that isn't just the absence of noise, but the deep, resonant harmony of being truly, wholly, understood by yourself. Let the silence speak. Listen to the whispers beneath your cheek. The translation begins. Two secrets shared in the velvet dark, the weeping guardians, the translating pillow, both speak of a threshold neglected, a language forgotten. But the night holds deeper chambers still. What if you could step through the veil, not just cross the threshold? What ancient power stirs when you realize, within the dream itself, that you are dreaming? The guardians hold their breath. The scribe pauses its quill. The most forbidden door of all awaits.